Welcome back to Beery Good Entertainment, everybody. This is our politics and controversy episode. This is episode 52. And today we're talking about something irritatingly near and dear to us, which is writing and how provocative writing in beer can get, and how you can just get it so wrong.
Yes.
So wrong.
And it shouldn't be that hard. You're right about beer.
Yeah.
Beer events forward.
So before we start, I'm actually going to pour my beer before we start because
Okay.
This is Guinness Draft Stout, and it takes a while to settle in the glass. Now, hopefully I can do this correctly because usually I don't pour the Guinness. My producer usually does it for me.
Yeah, that's what a producer does. They do all the setup.
Please don't spill on my keyboard.
Please don't. Please don't.
And this is the collector's can. You might.
I've never seen that can. That's gorgeous.
Oh, a special edition can.
What is?
Don't think there's anything. Whoa! Bubbles up right.
There it goes. There it goes. Is that a bear?
Creamy.
That is very creamy. It looks like Guinness. Guinness always has that kind of milky, dark look.
There we go. There we go. And we can enjoy the cascading effect. I love the cascading effect.
Oh, I've never seen anything like that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and then that helps form the head on the top. And just before I drink it, I'm gonna draw a little smiley face into the head.
Oh, it's thick enough for that, huh? Viscous enough.
It is, cool. And they do that. They have little stamps in bars. They'll actually, like a little cloverleaf stamp. They actually stamp the little cloverleaf right in the beer. It's very cute.
Cute. That is awesome.
Not ready. So why don't you tell us about what you're drinking?
Okay, I haven't even opened it yet. Hopefully it says, okay. This stout with real banana and natural flavors.
Oh my goodness. You know what?
Yeah.
We have dragon's milk too.
You do?
I think we have the same beer.
That is so cool.
But we're saving it for Game of Thrones.
Well, I can't save it. I wanted something nice. I had a beer earlier that I didn't care too much for. It wasn't their fault. Yeah, it was just boring. It was an orange wheat ale. And I was kind of hoping they would do something interesting with the orange, but it just tastes, oh my goodness, we're twinsies. Look at that. That is amazing. Isn't that crazy? Two sides of the country, one beer.
Yeah.
So cool. I don't even know where they're from.
Holland, proudly brewed in Holland, Michigan. NewHollandBrew.com.
Okay, so they're right in the middle. They meet in the middle for us. Neat. Okay.
I'm going to put that in the show notes.
Good. Yeah, it says roasted malty smooth. So let me open it up. Oh, I dropped these earbuds. Always fall like them. Open it up. Huh?
I was just putting it in the show notes.
Ooh. Oh, good. Okay. Oh, definitely coconut.
I love
definitely smell it.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely smell that. That smells very good. Very coconut. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of dark in here. I guess I should start doing my shows where it's brighter. But it's definitely very viscous. Not a whole lot of head. That just means it's a very stout beer.
Oh, very dark. Dark. Nice glass.
Oh, thank you. It's very coconut, almost like coconut dessert. very coconut. You can't really see, but it's got a very tan brown head, very dark, and I'm hoping it'll be delicious. Let's see. So I'm in the mood for something really good. Oh my goodness, dessert beer.
Oh, really?
Dessert beer.
Is it as thick as it looked like it was pouring?
It's not the thickest beer I've ever had, but it's okay. It's like perfect. Because the coconut is totally coating my tongue. My whole mouth is totally coating my mouth. And I taste every inch of it. Not an inch is wasted. It's perfect. And it's not bitter. It's just, it's lovely. It's just it's not too sweet. It definitely has that coconut taste. And it's just totally coating my whole mouth. And
wow.
It's even got some warmth like going down my throat. I've got some warmth going. That's probably the 11% ABV.
Yeah, that's the bourbon.
That's the bourbon.
The barrel.
That is going down my throat and I like it. Oh, but it's not too heavy. It's actually perfect.
Yeah, New Holland Brewing has and usually I will get the Dragon's Milk that is not the 11%. But this for some reason seems to be in all the stores right now.
Good.
It's like it's all the rage, all the bourbon barrel. I think they probably just release it like once a year.
Okay.
It's a gorgeous label too. And New Holland Brewing has such a good reputation with Dragon's Milk. And I found it's actually very reasonable. Do you remember the price you paid for it?
Probably no more than maybe. I actually don't remember, but maybe $3.99.
Really? Wow.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Ours was like $6.99 or $8.99.
You might be right. I don't remember. I went a little crazy. I went to Total Wine a few weeks ago, and I was like, I only go like once every 6 months.
Yeah.
So I get everything at one time. And I went crazy. Ooh, I bought a bunch of stuff. I was so lucky because the guy at the cash register gave me a $40 coupon. Like $40 off. I was like,
wow.
I actually went, oh, thank you. Because I was like, I think he could tell like I was like above my head. I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like my life is flashing in front of my eyes. And he was like, well, here's a coupon. I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So it means I actually didn't do worse than I normally do. Cause like, so it actually brought it down to where I was like, okay, I don't feel like I've like signed my future away here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do that once every couple of years, just like a couple of $100 in beer and I always feel guilty afterwards, but man, isn't it nice to have like a shelf full of nice beer?
Oh, it does. And I took a picture. I posted it to our Scannerdrome thing. I don't know if I showed you, but I can find it again and post it, the picture of all the beer I bought.
I think I saw it all.
3 Game of Thrones. They haven't had a Game of Thrones here in years. And then they have 3. So I'm like, oh, I've got to mention, I smell the banana too.
Well, this Guinness is definitely classic Guinness. I mean, the head is so thick that it not only sticks to the glass, like it creates the wall that Donald Trump wants.
It'll be a lot cheaper.
Guinness wall.
No.
It's actually Guinness is actually fairly light, and
it is.
Yeah, it's a fairly light beer. Even though when I started drinking, like I could easily get drunk off it.
Oh gosh, yes.
But I like it because it is super smooth. The nitro does make it super smooth and like mellows out the roasty notes to it, and I still appreciate a good Guinness.
Yeah.
Still, even though it's way mass produced now, I still appreciate a good Guinness.
Well, it was one of my starter beers. That was me being fancy, was drinking Guinness. That and Newcastle. I would always do, what do they call it when you put Newcastle and Guinness together? Black and tan?
I think a black and tan, yeah.
Black and tan. I used to get that a lot. Now I kind of want a black and tan.
I used to think I was all badass when I'd walk into a bar, like when I just turned 21, walk into a bar and they'd ask me what I want, and I go, you got any Guinness on tap? I always thought that was like the height of me being, really cool.
Bad A.
Yeah.
Because it's European.
I'm so cool. I can wait for my beer to settle in the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then, I was like, I don't drink domestic. I only drink, foreign. And of course, now, I mean, almost everything I drink is domestic. It's just kind of funny. Back then, to me, domestic meant Coors. And back then, 25 years ago, domestic did mostly mean Coors to most people.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how words can affect us.
Yeah.
Well,
so many words.
Today we're actually talking about brewing news publications. Put out one of their newsletters is Great Lakes Brewing News. And they put out what they call a Los Testigos article called Scottish Hopping to Real Ale. I mean, now I don't mind Testigos articles. Testigo literally means called to witness, like you're witnessing something.
Okay.
And a Testigos article is written from the viewpoint of somebody who is watching something happen. And I love those kind of articles. It's okay. But this one really kind of went off the deep end and just about hit the Me Too barrier going the speed of light.
Yeah. And I'm sure he must have a headache and his ears must be burning.
I don't know what Bill Metzger was thinking writing this piece of cod swallop. He starts out, literally bragging about his like sexist, manliness, like what was your my instincts to bed every woman I see are reducing from a king-sized mattress to a cot.
Poor baby. And I mean, I read that and I was like, because I was trying to get up mind. I was like, well, let's see what there is to it. I read the actual article before I read any of the commentary. I was like, I'm going to give it a chance. Maybe, maybe it was offensive, but maybe not as bad as people are making it. And I think that was like in the second paragraph or something. I went, what the hell? What is this turnip shit he's spouting? What the hell? I was like, ugh, and then I wanted to throw up.
And nowhere, as far as I could tell from what I researched, nowhere from the original article in the actual physical page did it ever specify this was parody or / satire, which normally you would say. You would specify something like this is, it didn't really happen, or this is a work of fiction.
Yeah.
It's the reason why Amazon asks us when we submit our stuff to Amazon, well, what is it? Is it fiction, fantasy, nonfiction? Somewhere in between.
Yeah, and satire is usually fiction. I put on the Facebook comments, I wrote
oh, you're breaking up a little, Lola. Uh-oh. We may lose her. Oh no, she's frozen in time. We can't hear anything. This isn't me, right, Mr. Producer?
No.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. Oh.
Is that any better?
Yes, that's better. That is better.
Okay, I guess I just had a bad connection.
Yeah, I did not hear a word of what your response was. I'm sorry.
You didn't hear me just now? No?
No.
I'm going to adjust the bandwidth. I don't know if that'll help.
Well, you seem fine now.
Okay.
But I didn't hear whatever you were saying. We didn't hear it at all.
Oh, I said that there's a Facebook comment thread under the apology that he posted, and somewhere it says something about he didn't expect people to take it literally. And I said, I took it literally because this is an article about beer. Generally, articles are nonfiction, especially when they're about beer. So I took it as nonfiction. So
yes,
I took it the way I was supposed to.
That is true. Now, beer articles. I really feel that beer articles should have their main purpose, I think, is to make you want to drink the beer that they present, or to warn you about a particularly horrible experience.
Yeah.
There are a few beers out there that I've had that were, they were either so overly hopped or just so sickly sweet or just nasty that I really felt like I'd warn people.
Yeah.
But, a Los Testigos article doesn't necessarily have to be true, but you really kind of have to tell people if it's true or not. Because this article literally sounded like a guy who was hopped up on his own hormones, running out to Scotland. There was some kind of chaotic mention of golf, and like they went to different pubs. But in reading the whole thing, well, 3/4 of it. Okay, I only got 3/4 of the way through it. In reading 3/4 of it, I don't remember a single beer.
Well, I mean, he talks about the difference between real ale and other stuff. So really, it's just an article about beer. I don't remember him talking about a specific beer he drank. But I would say the first fourth of it doesn't even read like a beer article. It reads like a slashing rebuttal of the Me Too movement. I mean, he's just saying, I try to bed every woman I meet, and now I feel like the walls are closing in on me because if I hit on a woman, they could come after me and boo-hoo, wham wham, I'm a man, I should be able to put my whatever wherever I want. That's a paraphrase, but that's basically what he was saying. And if that's satire, it's very bad satire because it's just icky. It's not clever. Satire should be kind of clever, and there's nothing clever about that. And
now let's kind of take it as read that it was supposed to be parody / satire.
Okay.
Is it ever okay anymore, knowing what we do know now about the Me Too movement? Is it ever okay to make fun of this anymore, or is this a topic non grata? I mean, is this just persona non grata? We don't touch this or make fun of it anymore because it's too serious.
I don't want to say that you can never make light of something, because there is, kind of gutter humor, and you do sometimes make light of very serious things, but that's a coping mechanism. You have to be very careful about it, and not everyone can do it. I mean, I'm sorry, but I kind of believe you in order to make light of something, it needs to be yours to make light of. For instance, you're never going to hear me making light of slavery or the Holocaust or any of that because it's not mine. It belongs to the people that happen to, or the people in some way directly affected by it. And if they feel like there's something tongue-in-cheek they can say about it, that's on them. You know, I'll leave it up to them to decide if it's appropriate or not. But I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in my view, that means he better shut the F up. He has no business commenting on this at all. And he did a very poor job of commenting on it.
Well, then then there's the subject of, and I agree with you to a point.
Okay.
Being a fiction writer, I do take elements from experiences that have not been mine.
Yeah,
For instance, I'm in the process of writing a book about Detroit. I've never stepped foot in Detroit.
Yeah.
But I interact with people in Detroit, and I'm attempting to create a realistic fictional viewpoint of Detroit. Yeah. So taking elements for an article, a satire or parody article that you haven't actually experienced, as long as that is your point and you're making the point well, would be okay, but it's really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
This Bill Metzger really just kind of like stomped his way through it like a dinosaur, and nobody realized that it was supposed to be funny at all.
And you know what? That brings up another point you made in our show notes. Was it really supposed to be satire, or is that just his way of saying, no, you don't understand, I was trying to do something artistic here? I think it felt like he meant what he was saying. It feels like he's holding satire up as a shield. Like, no, look at satire, because the way it's written, it really sounds like a punsy asshole trying to, you know, cry, I don't know, I missed the 70s or whatever, you know. It just really felt that way.
And we have heard that so many times in the Me Too movement.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was a joke.
That's not something, that's going back to what I said. It's not something you joke about.
Exactly. You don't joke about it. If you're going to make parody out of, you know, ooh, I drink beer because I'm such a manly man. Mm-hmm. You know, you better know what you're doing.
You better be freaking Monty Python.
Oh, yes.
I mean, you better be Monty Python. Yeah, if you're going to do something like that, it needs to be visually obvious that you're the opposite of that. It really does.
Well, this definitely wasn't obvious.
Yeah.
Well, so, sorry. It was so unobvious. It leads me to believe that, yeah, the original intent was not to be funny.
I think so.
And his apology
wasn't an apology.
I'm using air quotes, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are listening to the podcast. Apology was just as bad as the article.
Made me want to spit.
I'd actually like to find it. Here it is. It's not too long. Should I read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
The views of the fictional character in Los Testigos de Cerveza parody in the February-March 2019 issue do not reflect the views of the writers, publishers, nor editor of the Great Lakes Brewing News. Neither do they reflect the views of the author. Testigos articles have been running for years and were not mistaken for nonfiction until the current issue. It erroneously lacked a disclaimer. Future articles will make that distinction. The Great Lakes Brewing News apologizes for any harm this may have caused. i.e., we're sorry you took it wrong.
Right. It's your fault. We had the best intentions. You obviously, you know, you're too undignified to understand what this means.
Yes. Statement from Bill Metzger himself.
Who is also the publisher, by the way. I like how he says, this does not reflect the view of the publishers or the author. Dude, you're your own publisher. If you look at the masthead, he is the publisher. It's his thing.
Yeah, well, he's trying to say, I'm not sexist. That's what he was trying to say. It does not reflect the views because I'm obviously not sexist.
I don't know you, dude. I don't know you. And I don't know what lost whatever is. And I don't think it means that I'm ignorant or that I'm stupid because I don't know what lost whatever is.
Yeah, Testigos articles, that's a niche. It's a niche form of writing.
Never heard of it.
You know, taking it's kind of like using, you know, that first person view of watching other people and then writing out what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean other people are ignorant. You know, as far as I could tell, his stuff is behind a paywall.
That's not good.
As far as I can tell. Now, the PDF was actually posted. The PDF was posted by thethirstywench.com where I read it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think you can really get the newsletter unless it's being sent to you in a physical format.
But it is printed in all these glossy magazines that wound up at beer pubs all around that area. And so in the Facebook comments after his post, there are several people saying, take me off your mailing list, take me off your subscription list, how to unsubscribe. Because they don't want that trash in there. Even if you hide behind it's a fictional character. It's not labeled fiction. And he says, I. And it says by Bill Metzger.
Yeah.
He says, I. There is nothing there to let any casual reader know that that's not how he feels.
And he never once says, that was a bad idea, I'm sorry.
And he never, I mean, he said, I sincerely apologize, but that he said that after he said, I did not think it would be taken literally. Well, it's an article on beer, and you said, I. How else was I supposed to take it? I mean, you know, people are responsible for what they say. And unless you're clear that you're playing a character and that you can't be clear, it's hard to be clear about that in print. Now, in video, you can be a little clearer about it. Sometimes it's obvious that someone's playing a character. Sometimes it's not obvious. I mean, actors get in trouble, comedians get in trouble for supposedly playing a character when, well, you didn't tell us you were playing a character, you know.
Yeah.
If you're playing a character, you have to be very careful unless you want crap like this.
That is true. And I don't think it was ever it was not meant to provoke this type of discussion. And yet, here we are, what, 30 days? That's like 30 days later.
I'm just hearing about it now.
Having the discussion. Yeah. And I saw comments from not only across the United States, but breweries in Australia.
Good.
I believe that the Metro from the UK was talking about it.
Forbes wrote an article. Forbes. It got their attention. There's a petition. It's on change.org. There's a petition.
Yeah. If you're a beer writer, you better be bloody careful.
You do.
Because the craft beer community is not only sensitive to these topics, we kind of obsess over it.
Yeah, and we're vocal. And we're not afraid.
No.
We're very truthful in how we feel. And we don't like to be made to feel like we're the silly person. How, you know, we just misunderstood. It's on us. It's our fault. No, we don't do that BS. You know?
And I've seen people with what appear to be reasonable comments of, yes, it was meant to be parody satire. It was meant to be, you know, it was meant to point out how stupid that viewpoint is, because you don't wind up looking manly. you wind up looking like a schmuck.
Right. But I mean, I read it's like the first paragraph that really just doubles down on that. And I read it, and it was not obvious that he was making fun of that attitude, because there wasn't, okay, this is one way to look at it. If you want it obvious that you're making fun of something, you overblow it. You make it seem more buffoonish than it is. But you can't do that with this behavior, because this behavior is buffoonish. So there's no way to tell it's satire just on the written page. That's why he probably shouldn't have done it to begin with. If he thought he was making satire, he should have just not done it.
Yeah, I see one of the comments from Tim Decker. Either you're a sexist piece of shit, or you're a horrible writer who is incapable of conveying satire. Actually, on second thought, why not both?
That is so cute. And that's a GIF. I just copied it into, so it didn't come out as a GIF. It just came out at a static picture. But it's a GIF of a little girl, and it says, "Why not both?" It's so cute. Yeah, but it's true.
That is true, but because now, and I'm talking directly to you, Bill. Now that's what we think of you.
Yep.
We think you're an incapable schmuck who is also a sexist piece of shit. Yep. You're going to work hard and no, we weren't talking to you. We weren't talking to you.
It's all right. Go back to sleep, Che.
No.
Okay.
G likes to jump in on my conversations.
Oh, what did G say? What did G say?
G said, "I'm sorry, I don't understand." Neither do we, G.
We don't understand either. Maybe G or Lady A.
Bill, you're going to have to work so long and so hard. Maybe if ever we actually trust you to write again. I think you should probably restrict your activities to, just describing what the beer looks like.
Well, that's enough. Maybe you should hire some other writers. But that's another thing. This is if it's supposed to be from the perspective of someone else, then that negates everything about the actual account of breweries he went. It's an unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
He turned himself into an unreliable narrator. So how am I supposed to trust any of the stuff that's supposed to be nonfiction? Because there is stuff there about real ale and breweries and stuff. You just don't mix genres. He's mixing nonfiction and fiction, and you just don't do that because it's confusing. I'm like, it's a waste of an article.
It really is, because I didn't even really get the point of the article after that. It's like my brain just kind of went, oh my goodness.
I was just disgusted. That's gross.
Do you think we can actually forgive him for this? Or is he going to wind up having to close his newsletter and try again and hope people don't remember his name?
I'm never going to forget this ever. I never read this to begin with because it's for the Great Lakes region. So my opinion isn't going to affect him either way. But I imagine that people in that area, they're going to remember. The breweries will certainly remember. And it looks like he depends on advertising. And I doubt seriously most of these breweries will be advertising. He might keep the people who aren't paying attention. But the people who are paying attention, he's going to lose them. And I'm not saying that to be mean. And I'm not saying that to punish him. I'm just saying that's the truth. Most people are careful about what they associate with.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to associate with that. And a business can't afford to associate with something like that because they'd alienate half their clientele. Even more than half, because there are guys who are allies. So a lot of the comments on Facebook were from guys.
Yeah.
So he's alienating women and a lot of men too.
Well,
so, he dug his own hole.
Yeah. The backlash is so bad that my local Flat Tail, which I didn't even think would read that kind of article, responded saying, "Hey, Bill, we're exercising our primal masculinity by telling you and the Greater Brewing News publication to get the bleep out of our pub. There is no room in this industry for this kind of sexist BS, period." I applaud you, Flat Tail, as a craft brewery for standing up for this, because I equally see all genders sitting in your pub enjoying beer. I have never seen anybody denied a conversation or refuse to answer a question because they're not manly enough.
Male or female or
something
on a scale.
Yeah. So I think a lot of breweries need to do exactly this. Step up. One brewery, I'm not sure if it was a brewery. I saw a couple of people actually burning the publication.
Good.
In the commentary.
Good. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on their website. And it says, a response to the Los Testigos de Cerveza parody has been posted to the Great Lakes Brewing News Facebook. Please read. It's not a parody.
I think the apology should have, if you do something like this and it totally backfires, don't jump on the "it was a joke" bandwagon.
That makes it worse.
We might beat on you a little bit. But if you go, you know what? We didn't realize that was really bad. But seeing people come to us and point out to us how bad it is, we agree it was wrong and we are sorry and we are not going to do that again.
Yeah,
tell us that you're sorry, and we're going to shake our finger at you, but we might eventually forgive you.
Or maybe some people will forget.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually you might forget.
Move past it. Yeah, but now I'm even less likely. It reminds me of what's that his name? It's been so long since I liked him. It came out that he would ask the other female comedians to masturbate in front of them, and he got called out for it. Oh, you don't know about this?
What? I'm sorry. Who was that again? Who?
C.K. Lewis.
Oh,
C.K. Lewis.
Yes, sorry, I didn't catch the name.
Okay. I was like, you haven't heard about that?
Yeah.
Well, so no, what he did is just horrible. Just horrible, 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 horrible. But he came out and said, I'm going to take time to listen. And he said good things originally.
Yeah.
When he apologized, he said, I understand now that even putting that question to a female comedian immediately stopped the relationship, stopped the mentor-mentee relationship. It immediately put a wedge between me and them, and it wasn't fair. So he was so good about that. I was like, okay, all right. So he laid low for a year. And now he's starting to do surprise shows. And he's freaking talking about Parkland survivors saying that they shouldn't be famous just because they dodged a bullet. Let me let that settle for a minute. They shouldn't be famous. The Parkland people who are speaking up for gun rights, they shouldn't be famous for dodging a bullet. Yeah. And it just makes my skin crawl. It makes me so disgusted. Yeah.
Well, okay, so I don't think it was just quote unquote dodging the bullet that made them famous. It was their response afterward that...
And I was paraphrasing. I should say I was paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. Yeah.
But exactly. I don't think the Greater Lakes Brewing News, Great Lakes Brewing News publication should be famous just because of this.
Yeah. No.
I think they should have to try real hard to gain back those advertisers. Maybe, you know, probably what? Just change the publication, just to shut it down, start over, attempt it again, and don't do this crap.
But, you know, that brings up another point. With the whole Me Too thing, you know, there are people whining about, oh, but they're losing their livelihood. They shouldn't have to suffer for the rest of their lives. You know, I'm under no obligation to buy their albums. I'm under no obligation to go. So this is the same thing. No one's under any obligation to subscribe to us. If for life, he screwed himself for life.
That's right.
I mean, there's, you know, if he wants to try to come back, that's fine.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised if people aren't having it. We're under no obligation to forgive him or give him a second chance. We do with our money what we want.
That is very true. That is very true. I would have been far more inclined if he had made it an honest apology. Right. Now, we do have a comment from Google. Oh. Google. Same with Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
Was that a sexism, or was that just... I don't really remember the whole controversy over that.
It was in the very early 90s, like 1991. And this was before the internet, so I never saw pictures. All I knew was the articles I read. Well, two things. He got busted for masturbating in a theater, which,
yeah,
you know, people do
stupid crap.
I mean, it's not technically legal. I mean, it's not, but he also got investigated for child pornography. But his defense was that they were old, like in the 1910s, 1920s, they had sort of black and white cherub photos, that type of stuff. Like they were children, but it was meant to be more like cherubs. And see, I know people who collect old pictures, so I can kind of believe it. I don't know. You know, it's one of those things that's like, I could see him being strung up because he's gay. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
So if it's true what he said, that they were just old photos, like cherubs type stuff, then it makes me feel like he was probably set up because he's gay. I mean, if it were really truly child pornography, I think he would have been in jail. It feels more like it probably was what he said, like old photos, cherub type stuff. And he was probably just strung up because he's gay. Like, you know, we're going to find whatever we can throw at you and try to get you.
Yeah.
This
situation is definitely well more, you know,
it's more documented now
than that.
Yeah, it's definitely more defined with this. It's hard to know. That's another thing. When it's hearsay and when you can't really see what happened, it's hard to know whether something actually criminal happened or whether someone is being framed for an agenda. It's just hard to know.
Well, a lot of people took this as nonfiction, so it was not. It definitely did not come out the way that the news publication wanted it to.
Yeah, definitely not.
Not at all. And as for real ale, I'm not sure what the was there a definition for that? Real ale versus what?
I've got the article up and I can put it in the You want me to put it in?
I've got a link to the PDF here. I just, I don't think I understood the actual intent of the article itself. It doesn't help. It doesn't help that, I mean, the photos and everything were not.
And the article is all over the place. I mean, he crams a lot of disparate things in here. He has an article, a heading in the article that says real ale, and he says, I should explain here that cask ale and real ale mean this beer brewed and fermented, then put into a cask for its final carbonation. It has lower carbonation level than keg beer, and the carbonation is natural due to a small amount of fermentable sugar added to the cask before capping.
Oh, so quote unquote real ale is more like our bottled homebrew, where we put in a small amount of sugar to restart the fermentation so that it carbonates.
And see, this is more your area. You know more about the science behind beer brewing. So you could probably tell me, and probably Che too, since real ale is more of a British English thing, although he's Irish, but he would probably know better than us if this is a true definition of real ale. Because once again, he's playing a fictional character. So how am I supposed to know if this definition he gives us of real ale is true? Because he's an unreliable narrator. And I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I mean, I don't know. I've heard of real ale, but I don't know what it is. And so I don't know if what he says is true. And I can't trust him because he's already said this is parody. So I don't know. Is this parody of real ale? I don't know. And that's part of the bad writing. Bad writing.
Well, I see here one of the problems that I had. Real ale is also generally lower in alcohol, with most examples hovering around 4% alcohol by volume. This enables the drinker to consume more. Could be. While inevitably getting a little squiffy from alcohol, he won't get so spannered that he loses his shoes on the way home. Something that happened to me on my last trip to Germany after too many liters of Rausch beer. A lower alcohol is also beneficial in performing for a woman. Something I'm genetically designed to do.
Oh, see, I missed that. See, I was just scanning the article. I totally missed that. That is so disgusting. That makes me want to throw up. Oh,
that is
not okay.
That is where you stop, right there. I don't even want to read anymore because that's no longer talking about cask ale and real ale. Now you're talking, if we don't know that it's parody or satire, we think you honestly think,
yes,
that is the purpose of having a lower alcohol beer, so you can get laid.
Right. And that's disgusting. So you can still perform.
Yes.
Oh, that's so disgusting. And, he can say all day long it was a character. But, that's in his mind somewhere. It's got to be. It's just disgusting.
A couple of realistic portions. British blonde ales are different than in my country. Now, if this is fiction, we don't know what your country is. Where they are often a transition beer for those who don't really like beer. Have you ever used blonde beer as a palate cleanser?
Yeah.
I had one at McMenamin's. I think it was the day before yesterday. Or yesterday. Now, they actually described as an ESB, and I kind of take that weirdly because an ESB to me and a blonde ale are totally different. A blonde ale is literally supposed to be so equally balanced, so drinkable that it is non-offensive to the palate.
It's a lawnmower beer.
You can do almost, and here again, I'll mention Flat Tail, but only because Flat Tail has taken blonde to an art form. They've made cucumber chili beers out of it. They've made other types of beers out of it because it makes such a good base for other flavors. I'm not sure what's different about it in the UK. If you're a UK drinker and you really like your blonde ales, please let us know. What is the difference? Blonde ale in the UK? I'm not sure why he believes there is a difference.
I don't know. And see, that's one of the things, like, I don't even trust his telling of the definitions because I can't trust anything he says.
Yeah.
I'm going to find a different source. I mean, if I really want to learn about these different types of beers, I'm not going to go to him as a source.
Yes.
Because I already don't trust him. I'll go to Linda.
He goes on to talk about cask rejection, discussing the two novices not enjoying cask ale.
Okay.
Which is kind of ridiculous. Even as a beer novice, I went to Santiam Brewing.
Okay.
Santiam Brewing's cask ale was amazing. Okay. Absolutely amazing. Hand pumped. I don't know why, he would describe novices as having a problem with cask ale because it's delicious. It doesn't have to have offensive qualities for a beginner to not like it. And then he dives right back into Scottish manliness because Scottish men are more manly than any, maybe. Scotland's history is a metaphor for what I'm trying to say about the male being. Dude, Bill, you just offended an entire other country. Scotland.
Oh my God.
Scotland, we apologize for this jerk.
The UK holds a dubious distinction of having the lowest percentage of female beer drinkers in the world. My thinking on this is that women need a higher level of alcohol to overcome the social restrictions on their primal selves. After all, women have the need to breed gene, and excess consumption can ruin a diet.
And see, and this is where you absolutely have to use that parody satire label at the beginning, because people are going to seriously think this is what you think.
Well, and okay, once again, we go back to, is he just hiding behind satire?
I don't. I can honestly say I have no idea who Bill Metzger is. No idea. Never met him. And even when I went looking for opinions of him, I was kind of gratified not to find any opinions of him, only the article. I don't know who he is. He could think like this, and for all I know. But if this is my introduction to Bill Metzger.
I'm going to say something. I didn't finish reading the rest of that paragraph, and he does say something a little bit self-deprecatory. I don't know if I said that right. He says, I know the dietary restrictions well. If I didn't drink beer, I'd be ripped and wouldn't have to rely on my wit, whatever, to accomplish a reproductive drive. So now he's saying he's not hot and he has to depend on his wit to do anything. But anyways, then he goes on to say, I highly recommend a visit during the summer months when the beach is filled with bikinis. So, I was going to say something. I know he's saying this is satire, but if he truly believed that this attitude was abhorrent, I don't think he would keep going back to it. I don't think he would drive it so hard home. Because if I'm talking about something that I think is horrible and disgusting, I'm not going to write a lengthy article like this on it and keep driving it home. He made his point. Let's put it that way. If he thinks this is a disgusting attitude and he wants to convey that, he made his point a long time ago. There's no reason to keep saying it in so many different ways. It just really makes me think that he wants to say these things. It feels like he wants to say these things, and that makes me disgusted.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the most poignant views of outdated thoughts I've seen is actually from Homer Simpson.
Okay.
Homer Simpson continually makes those points by making fun of them.
Yeah.
And that is so blatantly, satire that you can't miss it. And that's what it should have been. As a writer, I'm not sure if this man has taken classes or if he understands how to set up a scene, but he really needed to set up those characters as being satirical, as being non-real.
As being characters, as being fiction. And one of the things in the Facebook comment I made, I said, maybe you should set up a fiction section. If they really want to do this, they need a whole fiction section, and they can do stories. Don't do it as an article, do stories. And the thing is, they put this was like their front page cover. From what I understand in the Facebook comments, this was their front page coverage on the magazine. You don't.
Yeah, that's not a front page article. A front page article is usually to highlight something very special, a specific brewery, or exactly, real ale versus cask ale, but as a real example.
And I'm not saying you can't be creative with your article. You can be creative. You can be funny. You can, insert a viewpoint here and there. But if you assert a viewpoint, you need to make sure you actually believe it. Don't call it satire because you're the person on the article. It says by you. You need to make sure you stand by what you say. You can't say it's an article and then say it's fiction at the same time. That's just not how articles work. It's just not.
Yeah. Now, looking at the very last paragraph.
Yeah.
I take issue with the paragraph.
Okay.
Since this trip was for beer, I'd like to finish by making one general observation. Scottish beer, long known for being darker and maltier than its cousin beers to the south, has changed. The growth of microbreweries has brought lighter and hoppier beers to Scotland. I think that might be correct, but this country's beer scene has evolved, becoming more diverse in its offerings. As I see it, the American beer revolution has washed up on the shores of this great country and appears it is here to stay. I'm not sure that... I'm not actually sure that, there is Scottish beer as the genre, Scottish ale, is darker, maltier, has a heavier ABV. But Scottish beer in general being darker and maltier, I'm not actually sure how true that is. I'm not sure what percentage of their ale happened to be farmhouse or AKA sours as well, or taking advantage of their local love for liquor.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure. I'd have to actually take a trip to Scotland myself to view that. And if that had been the intention, it might have worked. because now I kind of do want to go and see Scotland. What's different about your beers than I usually drink?
Well, and there is one Scottish beer that I know I've had, and I really liked it, and it was darker to me than other, like, say, English beers I've had. Oh, what was it? I remember seeing a kilt on it. I'm looking. I'm trying to find different Scottish beers. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. I can see it. Oh, what was it?
That wasn't the one with the lobster on the front. I don't know. I don't think that was.
I don't think so.
Well, now we've had lots of Scottish ale over here.
Yeah. I'm sure they have different kinds too. Just because it's Scottish, I mean, they have more than one type of, beer.
Well, the Independent had an article in 2016 called 10 Best Scottish Beers.
Yeah. And they don't have the beer. I just saw that. They don't have the beer. The beer I'm talking about was a Scotch ale.
Yeah.
And there are just so many types. I don't know. There's one I had, and it was darker, and it was denser.
Now
wee heavy. It was a wee heavy. Sorry, wee heavy.
Now we know we're best associating Scottish craft brewing with Brewdog.
Yeah, I
who
love
came over
Brewdog.
here to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And they only had to shift their beer making a little bit when they came to the United States.
Yeah.
Because they're known for their super impact, high impact beers.
Yeah. But they started a revolution in their own. So I wouldn't say they're indicative of typical Scottish beer, because they made their own.
Yeah.
If anything, I think they helped bring craft beer over to Scotland.
And it probably affected the UK as well, because they became like the name to look at.
Yeah, I mean, they really were revolutionary. They're still revolutionary.
Yeah.
So they were doing their own stuff. They're making like what 50 ABV beers and stuff like that.
Oh, well, that's pretty painful, yeah. But
I mean, they were doing stuff like that. So they're not. Yes. I wouldn't say they're indicative of any one country's beer, because they were their own. They're their own people. So they're not a good example if you want to have an example of a country's beer.
But, I've never heard of Windswept, Caledonian. I've never heard of a lot of these.
Is that on the article you were talking about?
Yeah, the 10 best Scottish beers from Scotland. I've never heard of those breweries, but they look fairly new. I mean, they look like they're craft breweries, not and I'm not sure what original brewery Scotland might have had. That would have to be something that I'd look into. And again, if that had been the point of the article to get me going looking, then it would have worked.
Yes.
It would have worked.
At this point, I can't trust anything this article says, and I don't really care what it's trying to say because I'm pissed.
Exactly. I kind of, yeah. I really, it went so horribly wrong, and the author didn't take any responsibility for it except to say, I'm sorry you were offended. Obviously, it's your problem.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was saying that to me as a woman.
Yes.
You women out there are all overwrought because you're women.
Because we're told that so much. Is one of the people in the Facebook thread said gaslighting. I don't feel like being gaslighted today.
Yes.
And that's what it is. It's like, oh, I'm sorry you took it wrong. No, you said it wrong. And I go back to what he said. he said he didn't think people would take it literally. And I said, and I'm reading, actually, my reply is right here. I took it literally because it's an article from a brewery company, which I thought it was a brewery company. It's actually a brewery publication. I didn't really.
We should Great Lakes Brewing has absolutely nothing to do with Great Lakes News publication.
I made that mistake, and I put on Twitter, I called out at Great Lakes Brewery or whatever. I said, what the F is this?
Yeah.
And they came back and they said, we have absolutely nothing to do with that publication. And I said, thank you for clarifying that. And then I deleted the tweet because I was embarrassed.
Yeah. And I feel like Great Lakes Brewing should probably have a sit down with the publication, saying, you know, if you're going to be doing this, you know, you're going to have to either knock it off or change the name or something.
It's one of those things where I guess they can't claim ownership of the name Great Lakes because that's the region.
No, you exactly can't. You can't claim ownership of that. But
and that was my mistake.
Yeah.
I'm going to take ownership of it. That was my mistake. I heard Great Lakes Brew, and my mind went to Great Lakes Brewing Company because that's the only thing I know when it comes to Great Lakes Brewing. And it would be the equivalent if somebody called themselves North Florida Brewing Company and the North Florida Brewery Publication. You know, they're totally two different things. It's just the area. And that was my mistake. And
but I do think the Great Lakes Brewery does have a leg to stand on, that this publication made them look bad.
They could. Yeah.
I think a sit down might be in order.
Yeah. And I felt so bad that even though I'm not in the Great Lakes area, I followed Great Lakes Brewery on Twitter because I felt so bad. But I have had Great Lakes beer. So, but yeah, I felt really bad that I conflated the two. And I apologize 5,000 times over, Great Lakes Brewing Company. 10 times over, I apologize. Well, they're both in Ohio. But there is no defense for what I did. There is no defense. I made a horrible mistake, and I jumped too quickly. I jumped, get excited.
It is an understandable mistake, given the title of the publication itself.
Right.
So,
it is confusing.
Yeah, it is very confusing.
And so maybe Great Lakes Brewing Company could be like, hey, you know, because that does. If you're gonna sue someone, from what I understand, there has to be the chance that your organization could get mixed up with the other organization. Yeah. So there. I'm trying to sign into Great Lakes Brewing Company's website, and I guess I hit something wrong because it says, thanks for your honesty, but you must be 21 to access our site. I'm 2.5 times 21.
Oh yeah, all you have to do is just delete the cookie.
Yeah, so I'm in Google
Clear your cache out, and it'll.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not gonna worry about it right
I think we've thoroughly beaten poor Bill.
I don't know. There is no poor Bill. He brought it upon himself.
Yeah. Well, I hate to follow one bad piece of news with another.
Okay.
We're losing another original.
Yeah, that sucks.
Last time we talked about losing Burnside Brewing here in Portland. And I accidentally thought I had heard Bridgeport. But Bridgeport did announce they are closing. Beer making has ceased completely, immediately, and their pub will be closing March 10th. So if you want to get some of those nice Bridgeport beers, Bridgeport IPA, it's spectacular IPA, lovely and clean, and I will thoroughly miss it.
So sad.
Yeah. Get down there, have a beer, have a chat, tell them how much you're going to miss them. They said their message is, "Dear friends of Bridgeport, today we unfortunately announce that Bridgeport Brewery will cease brewing operations effective immediately, while the Bridgeport Brew Pub will close effectively March 10th. The decision to close was extremely difficult for all involved. Back in April 2017, declining sales caused the brewery to restructure its operations. However, sales and distribution continued declining in the extremely competitive craft beer market of Oregon and the Pacific Northwest, which resulted in this final decision. Bridgeport has been in business for 35 years. Are we seeing the crash? Because I'm starting to see these. I'm starting to see these big guys close. Well, I mean, Bridgeport wasn't like massive, but they were pretty big. Area. They were pretty big.
Regionally, they were pretty big, right?
Yeah. I'm wondering who's next? Widmer? I mean, we all know Rogue's going to go, ghost, and they'll be around forever.
I don't like Rogue beer. I never liked it.
But Rogue is an original.
Yeah.
I would consider Widmer an original.
Yeah.
I don't think Ninkasi is going to be on the chopping block because Ninkasi was one of the ones to start their own distribution system.
Yes,
that worked very well. Good. And that's why I think Block 15 here in Corvallis is going to be around long after a lot of the smaller breweries have closed.
Did they have their own distribution?
Yes, they took a look at that big distribution system and went, nah.
Good. I'm glad.
And they poured enough into it so that their own distribution system worked very well.
Good. I'm very glad for them.
I don't see any other comments.
Yeah, I was just...
Oh, sorry. Did I interrupt you?
Shay did say, he said, I think the market is just thinning out. Tons of competition these days.
That is true. Now in Idaho, I discussed this last time. In Idaho, I saw lots of non-packaged breweries. The WYSIWYG breweries. What you see is what you get. We're going to pour it. You can take it home in a growler, but we're not putting it in a can. We're not putting it in a bottle.
Oh, okay. Well, they have breweries like that over on the, here on the Northeast, not necessarily so much on the Southeast that I know of, but I know in the Northeast, I remember when we were doing CBN, they would talk about this Boston brewery that they said was fantastic. I can't remember the name of it now, but you had to go there to get their beer. I mean, it's a pub-only environment. And there are a lot of like microbreweries that do that. And I think, if there's enough demand in your area and you think you can survive in it, go for it. It's just, I think it has to be a very metropolitan area, probably.
I think that actually might be a generous portion of the upcoming market. Might be taken by them because it used to be that the only way you could survive as a brewery was to have a restaurant or a pub attached. Yeah. But now just having a small pub where you don't even have to have food nowadays. If you have mobile food trucks in your area, you can attract those mobile food trucks and your patrons not only get different beer, they get different food.
Which is awesome.
I love that. I absolutely adore the thought of, I don't have to have tacos on Tuesday. I could have them on Thursday. And then I could have meatloaf sandwiches on Friday.
And I love the idea of having food because I know when I'm drinking, I need to have some sort of food or else my drink is going to be in front of me or in the toilet seat.
And I also noticed that Idaho's beers by the glass were a little less expensive in those places than at the place that packaged.
Oh, okay.
So, paying $1 less for a glass of beer is going to be a big impact on the market.
Yeah.
If you don't have to subsidize the rest of the operation with the price of your beer, these little places might be the way to go.
Well, and that's, only they know what their market is and their rent, because you have to think about overhead. And if they have the patronage, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
If a small little brewery in wherever Idaho wants to open up and just have things on tap or growlers, and not,
I know. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I know in the UK, there are lots of places in the UK that started out that way too. That the place would literally be like the side of a barn.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
And the beer wasn't, in those days, the beer wasn't even carbonated. Like you could get just a jug of it, take it home, or just sit there, have a glass on the way to wherever you're going, or interrupt the farmer in his field to get some of his beer. How wonderful is that?
And that's excellent. And that right there works in smaller communities where, you can just kind of walk. If you're driving in traffic, you're driving long distances, you probably don't want to be doing that. But if it's your local area and you're coming home from work and you're like, I'm going to stop by this little pub and then I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
That's great.
Especially with the rising prices. You may only want a glass every once in a while.
Yeah.
And having a glass of something unique may be the way to go.
Yeah. Now I kind of wish, where I live now, I love my neighborhood, but I'm not near anything like that. I used to live in one of the older neighborhoods called San Marco. God, I loved it. But when I lived there, there weren't any breweries, nothing. But now they have at least one brewery that I can think of, and plus several nice bottle shops. And gosh, if they'd had that when I lived there, oh my God, could you imagine just walking to a really good brewery and just being like, I'm going to sit at the bar and drink a few and then walk home? I'm jealous, and I'm kind of irritated because they waited too late. They opened like after I moved from that neighborhood, and it just makes me, I'm like, argh.
How about pop-up beer gardens? Could do that you could do that in almost any neighborhood.
That sounds awesome.
Just take a couple of kegs, couple of tables, even if you have to fence it off,
Yeah.
You could probably just serve grilled cheese sandwiches, to get the food requirement in there. Most places, if you want kids to be running around your area, you have to serve food.
Well, that'd be kind of like a block party, really.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be there every day. Yeah.
You'd probably, I would imagine, to make it legit, you'd have to go through the city and get some kind of permit or something.
That's the twist, because especially like places here, like Corvallis, the mobile market for food is so chaotic. Trying to pin the city down for like beer might be a nightmare.
It probably would be. And I'm like thinking, like downtown here, they have beer events. They'll have big tents, and you can go, and especially like Oktoberfest and stuff. Now, I have no idea what they have to go through for permits. I imagine it's a lot of money. And it would probably be really almost prohibitive for a small brewery to do that, because when Jacksonville does it, it's usually like sponsored by Bud Light or something, and they'll have the local breweries there, like Intuition Ale and Aardwolf and stuff. So it's a big production when they do it here. So it'd probably be very difficult to have just like a small business do it.
It could be depending on all the licensing agreements.
Yeah.
But there, I think things become so complicated. Things become overcomplicated, I think.
Yeah. And I've already had my issue at the courthouse yesterday. So
courthouse for anything. And if there's ever a place that needs to serve beer,
it's the courthouse. Oh my God. I need, you know what? I have to go back to the courthouse next week, and my plan is to go to the courthouse and then walk down to Bold City Brewery. It's cross downtown. It's several blocks, but I'm going to try to walk to Bold City Brewery and sit there and wait for Clint to come pick me up.
Aha, see? That's a good plan. It's always nice to have, you know, like a pleasant place to go after what you know is going to be an uncomfortable situation. Yeah. That's why I love having so many breweries in Corvallis.
Too.
I mean, take your pick. Mm-hmm. If it's summertime, you want a rooftop experience, you go to Sky High. You want a sports experience, you go to Flat Tail. You want a nice little English country pub type feel, you go to McMenamin's. You know, you want that big inner city urban type thing, you go to Block 15. We have so many possibilities around us. It's really nice.
It is nice. We've got 2 downtown. We've got tons around the city, but 2 specifically downtown. Yeah. And Intuition would be a little bit too far because Intuition is closer to the stadium, and I'd have to walk probably twice as far to get there. Yeah. So I'm just going to go to Bold City. I like it. Did I tell you about what happened when I was at Bold City before probably a month and a half ago or something?
No, what?
It had nothing to do with Bold City. It just happened. We were there when it happened. My friend, who was my mother's caregiver, I was trying to show her how to use the bus system because she had a new job. And, well, we got off downtown and we were going to catch a different bus, but then I got confused about where it was and we gave up. And I said, you know what? I know where we can go. So we went to Bold City Brewery.
Yeah.
We sat there and I bought her a flight and me a flight of the same thing. She actually drank faster than I did, and she liked it, a lot of it, better than I did. But so we had a flight each and we were drinking it, and we were there for like probably an hour and a half, something like that. And we were getting because we were very stressed out. I was because this was like 2 weeks after my mom had died.
Yeah.
And I was just, we were just both stressed out. And so we relaxed and we were like, woo, and we were in front of, it was like a picture window, you know? I mean, it was just, we were in front of the window. The couch we were on faced the window so we could see the sidewalk and the street and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And apparently my friend, she saw a reflection in the car outside. And she said, oh, they're fighting. And I said, what? And right then I saw 2 people come into view, a guy in a chef's white coat and then another guy, and they were like fighting, tussling and everything. And the guy in the black leather punched the guy in the chef's thing. And I said, he punched him. And I looked at Tanisha and she looked at me and we're just like,
oh. Like, what?
And then like people started running out, like other people in white chef coats were running out from the restaurant next to us. And I think the guy in leather who punched the guy realized what he did because he just went and ran. And then the bartender at Bold City ran out and he was like looking, and we were like, and we ran out, which was the bad call. I understand that we should not have run out because in downtown Jacksonville, I hate to say this, but you never know what's going to happen. We probably should not have ran out. We probably should have stayed put, but we're curious people and we ran out. And we asked one of the guys sitting at a table there, we were like, where'd the guy go? And the guy was laughing. He said, he said something like probably running in shame because of that. I hate to say this word sissy, but sissy punch he threw. And I said, it looked real to me. And he said, nah, he barely nicked him. I was like, okay. And so we went back in and we were just mesmerized because you saw all the people from the restaurant come out and they were obviously having a meeting. And, you know, the guy who got punched was on the phone, probably with the owner, I would imagine. And I was waiting for the police to come, but police never came. But, you know, and they have the right to decide if they want to engage the police because I'm sure they don't want, you know, a lot of attention, a lot of bad attention to the restaurant. So it seemed like they didn't engage the police, which is okay. But it's just like, it was like the most thing that's ever happened to me. And we were just like,
you had a front, you had like a front row view.
Right. I know. I mean, it happened right in front of us. I don't think I've ever seen anyone punch someone. I've seen like slaps, but I mean, this was like, boom, punched him. I was like, and we were like, oh my God, what's going on? And we were talking to the bartender, and the bartender was talking to us, and, just talking in general about it. And it was just crazy. I was like, and, well, we were asking the bartender, what do you think happened? And he said he thinks they let him go that day. Like he had worked there. And I said, well, he's not going to work anywhere around here ever again. I said, because, I mean, I'm pretty sure the rumor mill was already, flooding about that guy. So wherever he goes, he's not going to be there.
Beer and a little show.
It was like the most exciting thing. And we needed that levity because, she was my mom here. So while I was at work, she was taking care of mom, and she had become attached to mom.
Yeah.
So we were both at a very sad, very scary place because she didn't have a job anymore. Well, she did at that point. She'd gotten another job, but she was still, kind of feeling at sea.
Yeah.
And I was feeling at sea.
Yeah.
And so we were, just having an afternoon. I mean, we didn't accomplish exactly what we wanted to. She never used the bus system here. So we did accomplish that she got to see how the bus system works, but we didn't complete the trip.
Yeah. But at least she got a general idea. Yeah.
She got a general idea. And she did say later she did take the bus by herself once. So I got her started. But you know what? We had fun. And we took a lift home later. So it was okay.
Oh, we've been seeing Lyft around here like crazy, and like right out to Safeway, and the driver was so nice. I hope all the drivers are like the driver that we saw. He was just super nice, just chill. So glad to see his passenger.
They are very good. I've probably taken 100 Lyft rides at this point, and I've only had one weird one. And I think I put it on Facebook. You can go look at it if you want.
Oh yeah, with all the weird signs.
Yeah, she had 4 different signs with different things on them, and they were like chained. They were on like almost big postcards, like cardboard. And 2 were hanging off the driver's side, and 2 were hanging off the passenger side, and they were chained together, so they just kind of fell down. And each one had different things on them. Do not talk, do not eat, do not drink. If you're rude to me, I'll put you out. And if you give me 5 stars, I'll give you 5 stars, which I'm pretty sure is against the rules. You can't coerce. You can't coerce that,
Yeah.
So yeah,
oh, God, I hate that, especially on eBay. I hate when I make a purchase on eBay and they beg me for a review. I'm like, no, I'm not reviewing you at all.
Yep, it's not okay. I get that with Amazon, and when it comes to the Amazon, it's like so and so seller has a question for you or wants something, and I'm like, just them asking for a review. I'm like, I'll let you know if I didn't like what I got.
Now, does Lyft in your area work the same as like a taxi? You just call them up?
No, it's an app. And actually, the taxi service now actually uses a service called Z-Trip. So they have an app too. And I've used that a few times, and that was okay. But you use an app, and it's really easy. You click Lyft, and it comes up with the map. And it comes up, it says current location. Now, I always click to make sure what they think my current location, because they use GPS and sometimes it doesn't label it right. And then you put where you're going. And like today, I actually had 2 destinations because I went to my friend's house, and then I went to the post office to check my post office. And then I came home. And so it's a few dollars more if you're going to make a second trip. But, I was able to get an errand done and then come home all in the space of 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Really easy. Yeah, and it comes out of my credit card.
Do you find the cost reasonable?
It is.
Or is it kind of still taxi costs?
Oh, it's taxi cost, that's for sure.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's taxi cost.
But worth it if you're going out for a drink.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it, especially if you're going somewhere where parking is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going, like if it's Christmas and you're going shopping, I would definitely do that. But also keep in mind that if you're going to have trouble navigating traffic, then the Lyft driver will too. So if you don't want the Lyft driver to have trouble, try to direct them to a location that's less congested.
Yeah.
If I'm at the mall here that I like to go to, and it's huge.
Yeah.
And if I know I'm going to call a Lyft, I'm not going to call them from the middle of the shopping center where it's, almost pedestrian only and it takes a long time for a car to snake through.
Yeah.
If I'm able to, I'm going to go to the outskirts and call them where it's easy for them to come.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're going to get stuck in that snaky traffic forever trying to pick me up. Now, there are times when if I have a lot of packages, I'm not going to go a long way carrying packages and make myself miserable.
Yeah.
But to get myself somewhere where the traffic flows better so that they don't have trouble getting to me and I don't have to wait for them to get to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm spoiled with Lyft. I'm totally spoiled because I used to take the bus everywhere, but the bus, I mean, like, okay, I went to visit my friends today and I was going to take the bus to the P.O. box. And there's an app for the bus. Well, the next bus was 3 minutes. It would have taken me a lot longer than 3 minutes to get the bus stop. And the next bus after that was 53 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'd have to wait 53 minutes for the bus, and the bus would take me to the post office box, and then I'd have to take a bus back to where I was, and then take a separate bus to get home. That could have been 3 hours easily.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, for $12, I just took a Lyft.
Sometimes the cost is just well worth it to save you the time. It is eminently faster for us to ride our bikes up to Northtown and then come back down if we need to go to, for shopping or something, than to attempt to take the bus and 2-3 hours later just to go 20 miles.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I feel a little spoiled because there was a time when I had no choice. It was the bus. But, as long as I can do it, I'll do it. I'm grateful that I have the credit card to do it with. I won't say I have the money. I have the credit card to do it with. So, and I need to look at that credit card because that credit card is getting dangerously close to the red line.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I found a new brewery.
Yes, tell me.
It's in Laguna Hills, California. And if you're into gaming, you're gonna love this place. It's called Gamecraft.
Okay, interesting.
We love beer. We love games. We're on a mission to celebrate both.
Wow, that is so cool.
An ultra steam powered warp through a galaxy of malt and cluster of hops. Complete an Apollo mission to visit a comet at its solar equinox. Enjoy our video wall mosaic while absorbing fusion food. This place looks spectacular. They have a nice little indoor place with wooden tables and a nice polished cement floor, and then they have a nice little outdoor patio. And you can see the brewery equipment, which is a big draw for me.
I like that.
And I am absolutely sure that they have games. They have games all the time. If you hop onto their Facebook, you can actually find out what local events they're doing, and that's at Gamecraft Brewing on Facebook. And their beers look spectacular. Some of their photos look. Some of them look like hazies. Some of them look super clear. Champagne, the recent one, I can't even pronounce it. Collaboration sequence, Champagne Dreams and West Coast Lifestyle. Our newest beer is a slow pouring collaboration with our friends at Hop Saint Brew.
Nice. And I've got the Facebook up. I'll put it in the show notes. I can put it over. You want me to put in?
Oh, I've got it in the show. It's in the show notes. They use Whirlpool. They use Whirlpool hops, and I'm not sure.
Never heard of that.
I think Whirlpool hops comes right after the brewing process, before the fermentation starts. I could be wrong, but I think that's what. And then dry hop comes right after fermentation, when it's in the secondary. And they use some interesting different hops. Mandarin, Bavaria, Southern Cross, Wakatu. It's some pretty interesting hops. I would say their beer probably tastes really unique.
Okay. And they also say they have collab and guest beers on tap, along with wine, coffee, and soda. And they said their featured beer styles will include lagers and hoppy IPAs, which I'm not totally a fan of, but that's me. But they serve guest beers and wine for non-beer drinkers. And their games, and this was my question, what kind of games? It says, our games are of the tabletop and traditional varieties, designed to get you away from your keyboard screen and back to real life instead of VR. So it's a tabletop gaming place. I like that.
And I would say if you're of the RPG persuasion, that's probably a perfect place for you to spend the day.
I think so. Yeah.
Fantastic. They do have food. It's pub fare with an Asian and Latino twists.
Nice. That makes sense for California.
Virtually all house made.
Okay, I like that. So they're not ordering something from somewhere and bringing it good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it looks like typical pub food: nachos, pretzels, fried wontons, pizza, tater tots.
Great. See, I would love a
featured
like
beer
that.
styles include lagers and hoppy IPAs. Imagine that, West Coast.
Yeah, but I know. Woo!
It'd be nice if they could do some guest liquors too. I really love their art style in there.
Yeah,
their art style looks very slick, nouveau, kind of spacey.
Art Deco.
Art Deco with a sci-fi kind of twist.
Yeah, their lamps. You can see kind of their lamps at the coming off the ceiling, and they're like a halo.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That'd be a cool place to have some music in too.
Yeah, that looks really nice. Maybe one day we'll be able to go.
So, shout out to Gamecraft.
Yeah. I wish we had something like that over here. We have game rooms, but not with breweries attached. That's pretty awesome.
Well, I know California also has, and I can't remember the name of it, not Buster Brown's, Buster and, people in California recognize it. I need to look it up again. There are games like traditional like video game places, and they do have beer and food, but they don't concentrate on the craft brewery side like this place does.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, we have places like that here where you can get a beer, but it's not. It's basically a regular pub with games.
Yeah.
And they're usually video games. They're usually not tabletop. Tabletop is different. And we have tabletop places here, but they usually just have like, Coke from a cooler or something. That's basically usually what they have. That's so awesome. No, I want to go. I guess one of the things, one of the drawbacks they might find is since it's tabletop, people will stay for like 6 hours. Hopefully people keep ordering to keep them in business.
Well, that is true. I mean, and that's why I'm thinking RPGs would be great. I find that once I have like 2, I'm more than happy to sit and have a couple of more.
Yeah.
If I'm not driving.
Right. That's the thing. Make sure you're not driving.
But yeah, I mean, if I'm sitting there and playing a game or whatever, then it wouldn't bother me to have a couple or more
or
than a couple.
And even the people who don't, I mean, there'll be people who don't drink beer. They'll order food.
Yes,
they might order Cokes.
Having wine there helps too.
Yeah, they'll order wine, and so I think there will be people buying stuff, even if they're there for 6 hours. They'll probably continue to buy stuff.
Yeah. And so then, of course, there are going to be people like me who take 2 hours to finish a beer.
With me, if I'm in public, I have to be slow, because if I drink it too fast, I'm going to be yeah. What do you mean you took my dragon? And what do you mean my ogre isn't strong enough? My ogre has a 10 power, and my ogre can be your ogre. I will show you how my ogre will be your ogre. Healing powers MF. And so I have to be careful if I'm in public.
Yeah.
I have to go slowly.
Worth it, though, for a good pub.
Worth it. Yeah. I haven't been to a pub in a long time.
I think the last thing left on the notes is drinking beer to dissolve marriages.
Okay.
Well, the title is When Divorce Was Off the Table, English Couples Dissolved Their Marriages with Beer. The practice of wife selling wasn't legal, but a drink signaled freedom from a relationship that had soured.
And what's going on with that?
So, the George and Dragon pub in Tunbridge, England, John Savage paid George Skinner 1 shilling and a pot of beer for his wife, Mary. George ordered his beer, and John left with Mary. The pair held hands as they went to start their new life together. But
that's different.
Now that's 1828.
Okay, so that was when the divorces weren't legal.
This wasn't an unusual scene. Throughout the 18th and 19th century, English wives were sold for a variety of payments. Prices varied as low as a bull pup and a quarter of rum.
Wow.
All the way to 40 British pounds at a supper. Okay, if my producer's selling me, he better be prepared to hand out quite an amount of money.
Yeah, I would think so.
I can make beer. I'm worth a heck of a lot.
Well, I mean, I guess it would depend if John already wanted to leave with Mary, like if because their example is George and Mary. They don't want to be married anymore.
Yeah,
and John is confused. John's going to leave with Mary. John's going to be the new husband. So John and Mary were already a thing, and they were like, we want to be together. And the only way they could do it is for George to pay a shilling to John. Then as long as everyone is doing what they want, I'm okay with it. As long as John is, and Mary's cool. Mary's like, I like John, let's go. That's cool. Yeah. Now, if Mary's like, what the hell is happening? Why am I going to live with John?
Yeah, that's slavery. That's not okay.
That's kind of almost prostitution. Yeah, that's not okay. If you're selling a person and they don't want to be sold. Yeah, that's slavery. That is what that is. Huh?
Well, I mean, it's not okay to sell a person anyway. But,
But, I mean,
I guess in those days, it was considered just compensation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's almost like a formality, like they couldn't divorce.
Yes.
But John and Mary wanted to be together, and George was like, okay, then so I'll just give you a shilling. Like it was a formality. As long as both John and Mary are happy.
And a pint of beer.
And a pint of beer. I hope Mary gets some of that beer. Did they say?
I would have insisted on it.
I would have too. I would have insisted on the whole beer because I'm the one being sold. I'm like, better give me that beer. So as long as Mary's happy with what's happening,
yeah,
I'm happy with what's happening.
Wife sales were located at inns. Ratifying pledge cups were quaffed, and purchase prices were often in alcohol. In several cases, liquor appeared to have played an inordinately large role. I could see that. I could see that. I wonder if it may have all been started because we've, you're such a, if I could right now, I'd leave with your best friend. And the best friend looks up and says, I'll buy that for $1. That'd be pretty hilarious.
Well,
between the parties. And that is satire.
Yeah. I mean, it's very hard to excuse anything like this from the 1800s. I mean, even trying to justify it.
It was such a long time ago. And the view of women was far different than it is now.
So different, because they were property then.
Yeah.
Which is horrible, but they were property. And that's why they thought they could be bought and sold. I don't know. It's it goes back to, if Mary was okay with it, then I'm okay with it. It was her story. And if her story turned out well for her, then I'm not going to tell her that anything bad happened.
Well, apparently in another case, a woman called Mrs. Wells was so pleased with the arrangement, she purchased an additional half-gallon of beer, which the three of them drank together.
And see, that's fine. If they're all
mutual arrangement.
Yeah. Here's another thing. 25-year-old Betsy Wardle learned the lesson the hard way. In 1882, her husband sold her to her lover, George Chesnell, so that's her lover, for a pint of beer. But Betsy was soon charged with bigamy, arrested, and brought to Liverpool Crown Court to stand trial. When Betsy's landlady, Alice Roseley, took the stand as a witness, she told the judge that she knew of the ale sale, but believed it was legal to house the couple. Don't do this again, Justice Dimon warned her. Men have no right to sell their wives for a quart of beer or for anything else, which I actually agree with. He sentenced Betsy to a week of hard labor. So Betsy, the wife, got in trouble for this. The husband
but not the guy. Oh, double standard.
It's not. Yeah, see, that's part of the problems with this. I mean, it sounds cute until you really look into it, and you're like,
oh, it was against the law.
Yeah, and Mr. Wardle, it doesn't say anything about Mr. Wardle getting in trouble, but Mrs. Wardle got in trouble, and had to do a week of hard labor.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not so cute when you think about it that way.
Well, my adorable darling husband says, with inflation since 1820, I am probably worth 4 kegs.
At least. And good
better
beer.
Be 4 kegs worth of this Dragon's Milk bourbon barrel stout.
Yes. 4 kegs of good beer.
Right. Good beer. And the only person you can sell me to is Jason Momoa.
That would be so awesome. Yeah. And yes, he already has a wife. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
he probably has more than one house, so he should have a wife for every house.
A wife for every house. Oh my goodness.
Right.
And a wife or a husband for every house. A wife or a husband for every house.
Yeah. So if you think, he probably has a house in Hawaii. So you could be his wife in Hawaii. And Lisa Bonet can be wherever they live now, in Los Angeles or whatever.
Or we can just skip the middleman. He can sell me to Lisa Bonet.
That would work too.
That worked too.
So
there we go.
Or, I mean, they could ride share.
And this is definitely satire. You see, this is blatant.
Well, I mean, there would be a ride, and they could be sharing it. So, I mean, in this case, I stand by what I say. I mean, if you're being sold to Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet, you don't have to choose. Why not both?
Yeah, why not both?
Just
exactly.
like the little girl said.
The meme works.
The meme works. Why not both? And so you could share.
Yep. I think we've reached the end of the notes.
Yeah. Let's look. Let's see. Of course, we have to do our sponsors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please remember, you can help support us by heading on over to lindatepler.com or in the show notes as well. Once there, click on the podcast page and shop at one of our affiliate links. We're affiliated with Amazon, Humble Bundle, Amazon, Humble Bundle, and Good Vibrations. I also applied to affiliate us with Brewer's Friend, which is a spectacular site for, if you're a home brewer, a spectacular site for keeping track of your recipes and purchasing some really wonderful software for your brewing needs.
Good.
Now, where can you find Beery Good Entertainment? You can find us on Facebook and Twitter. You can also now find us on MeWe.
And I need to
go. Good Entertainment. You can jump on our group and let us know what you think of the podcast, what you think of the beer you're drinking, what you think of life in general, because we love to hear it all.
Sounds like a plan.
How about you, author, lovely person?
I am at Twitter at Lola and S0rceress0. Somewhere I have an actual website, but I haven't updated in a long time, and I'm going to try to get back to that. I've been really bad about that. I'm on Facebook, and I haven't updated the Lola and S0rceress0 Facebook in a long time. And somewhere I'm on MeWe, but I can't remember my password for that. So that's kind of dead in the water until I remember my password. And if you go to my website, you can see a lot of my writing for free. And you can also listen to the podcast version of my first book that I did. That's on my website. So that's lolalarcy.com.
We can also find Trudy Lim on Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's $2.99. And I actually did get something saying that someone bought me my book. So thank you, whoever bought my book. Yeah, I'm like, sweet.
And I need to purchase that through our affiliate link too. You
certainly can. Yeah, we've got Amazon.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm all over the place.
You can find me as either Linda Tepler or S0rceress0 on Twitter, Facebook, and Amazon and Audible, because I do have audiobooks out.
And S0rceress0, how is S0rceress spelled?
S0rceress0 is S0rceress0. On Twitter, you'll find me at L Tepler, Tepler. And on Facebook, you'll find me at Linda Tepler. I'm trying to shift over because it's difficult to find S0rceress0.
Well, and my thought is I try to use a real name, because I think when someone's reading a book, they like to know the name of the author, because I think that helps them with the connection.
Yeah.
To have like a name, like, Linda Tepler, Lola and S0rceress0.
Yep.
I think people like that.
And I have a few books out. I have The Hunger Inside, which is a literary fiction. I also have a collection of short stories called The Eclectic Reflections of Now. And I have a steampunk fantasy, which is not too far off. As soon as I get the cover done, it'll be ready to go. And it will also come out on audiobook format called Hunchback.
Yay!
Yay!
That is awesome.
Awesome. And the beer we've been drinking is in the show notes. And if you have any questions at all, you can feel free to contact us anywhere we are up at any time. And we'll be happy to say hello to you. And if you have any recommendations for shows, British entertainment shows that we might be watching, we will be doing British entertainment in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for listening. This has been a great discussion about the realities of writing in beer news. Episode 52, Politics and Controversy. You guys have a great beer and have a great night.
Bye-bye.